Hello. We'll see as people come on board. As you come on board, please say hello to everyone. Tell us where you're from. We get people from all over the United States and Canada and throughout the world, Latin America, Europe, etc. We'd like to know where you're at. So, okay, so Jenny, hi there. You're the first one to show up and to say hello in the chat. Lolly is here. So tell us where you're from. We all are curious, and don't we travel a lot? So you always meet, well, I always meet people who love to sew no matter where I go. Debbie is here from Ohio. Darlene is here from Michigan. Welcome, everybody. And let's see, I was in Michigan in June. So Michigan is always so beautiful, and especially the western shoreline. That's what I'm most familiar with. Jana is here from California. Anita is here. So welcome, everyone. I'm here in my Chicago office. Many of you probably recognize this setup. I recognize, of course, some of our friends here. Stephanie is here. In New Mexico. Marianne is here from Georgia. Georgia and New Mexico. Gosh, I bet there's a difference in the humidity between those two states. I'm guessing Georgia gets more humidity than New Mexico, but I could be wrong. And I'm sorry to say I've never been to New Mexico. It is on my hit list to visit. Debbie's here from Washington. Carol from Anchorage. Hello, Carol. Anita's from North Carolina. All right, fantastic. Well, welcome, everybody. Let me see. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm here. My name is Rhonda Pierce. I love to sew. I love to quilt, and I'm delighted that you're here today. I'm in my Chicago office, and wow, the temperature is starting to heat up again, and we're looking for high humidity. So, and you know what? When it's so hot and humid, it's a great time to sew, is what I say. A great time to sew, especially when you have an air conditioner. So last month, our winner of the SCHMETZ Snippet giveaway was Paula Becker. Paula, who answered the question about gifts that she was making for the holiday. And she loves to make quilts and bags. And she said, well, everyone likes gifts any time of the year. So why wait for the holiday? So I really liked her response. And Paula responded with a nice, generous thank you note for all the goodies that she won in her giveaway. And Paula, I know Paula's been a frequent viewer of the SCHMETZ Snippet Lives, and she's from Indiana. So thank you, Paula. I don't see that you're here yet, but maybe you'll be watching again later or come on later. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and just throw out the question, the mystery question, in order to win today's giveaway. And I'll go through those items shortly. So to win today's giveaway, you need to identify your favorite thread brand, your favorite sewing machine thread brand. And if you like, tell us how big your thread stash is. There is no right or wrong answer, but we're curious. Do you hoard thread too? I know a lot of people have fabric stashes, and I'm just curious if your thread stash is as generous as your fabric stash. So answer what's your favorite brand of thread, and also how big is your thread stash. So Paul, my colleague, he's in the other room, and later in today's program, he'll give me the winner of today's giveaway. So where have I been? Wow, I have done some awesome shows. First, 2 weeks ago, I was in Hudson, Illinois at Hudson Sewing Center. Population of 2,000, surrounded by cornfields. I loved the drive there. It was about, well, first of all, my friend and surgery expert Gail Yellen flew into Chicago and met me here in my office, and then we drove down to central Illinois, near Normal, Illinois, and to visit Hudson Sewing Studio, where they had a summer showcase. And let me just tell you, it was spectacular. I gave 5 classes, 2 each day and 1 on Saturday morning. Gail gave classes every day. They had about 10 different experts there talking about machines and different projects, etc. Everything worked like precision, and everyone was so friendly. I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't understand. I mean, my sewing world is very friendly, but this was remarkable how friendly and efficient the staff was at Hudson Sewing Center, Sewing Studio. I loved it. They had 100 attendees, and they paid for the 2.5 days and had special projects and specific classes to take, and it was certainly awesome. So if anybody is listening from Hudson Sewing Studio, thank you. It was awesome, and I look forward to returning. Last week, I was in Dallas for Original Sewing and Quilt Expo, and it was wonderful too. My classes were smaller, but that's okay. Sometimes when classes are smaller, you get more in-depth questions, so it all works out. And of course, I saw lots of my sewing buddies that go to the different shows. And you know what? You that are here today, sometimes I meet you too. And I met Carol, who actually attends these shows, SCHMETZ Snippet Lives. She gets the newsletter, and she came up to me actually at the sewing studio and said hello and gave me a great big hug. So that was really wonderful to meet so many sewing friends that I never met before. So that means since 2020, I've given 484 presentations. So I'm pretty certain I'm going to make 500 this year, or exceed 500 presentations, whether in person or virtual. How many am I giving during this month of August? 0. I'm not doing any, except for today's presentation. I'm not giving any formal presentations. Why? Well, it's August. We're busy. We're busy with vacations. We've got to get the kids and the grandkids to school. Things are winding down. We got to get ready for our regular routine work schedules. And oh, yes, I am going on vacation. So I'll be gone for about a week or so to see family and friends, college friends, actually. In January, I went on a cruise with my older college friends. And this month, I'll be going, meeting up with some of my college friends that are younger than me. So I'm delighted to be included with both my younger and my older friends. It's just kind of curious. I don't have friends that are specifically my age. Isn't that funny? Or at least I don't hang out with them. So isn't that the way it is sometimes? All right. So how many of you got the SCHMETZ newsletter? The SCHMETZ newsletter. If you don't get the SCHMETZ newsletter, I encourage you to do so. How do you get it? You're going to go to schmetzneedles.com, and after about 20 seconds, a pop-up will say, hey, sign up for the newsletter. And as you know, in the newsletter, sometimes I have special deals for you. But let's start with the cover story, my message on the road. So yes, I was at Bernina University a few weeks ago, and that was in Salt Lake City. And one of the vendors was Stoff Fabrics, Stoff, S-T-O-F Fabrics. And Mort, who reps, and I think he's actually an owner or part owner of Stoff Fabrics, had a full display of beautiful Stoff fabrics. And I asked, oh, what are you going to do with these fabrics? I especially like that blue fabric. And he said, do you want it? I said, yes, yes. And he goes, do you like this blue one? And I said, yes. I said, well, what are you going to do with all the rest of them? And he goes, do you want this wall of fabrics? And I said, yes. So then my dilemma was, how am I going to get these back to my office? Because when I travel pretty lean. I'll ship stuff in advance, but I intend to fit anything that returns to back to me to go back into my luggage. So thank goodness I kept some of my shipping boxes, because I acquired, I don't know, maybe 4 dozen, at least 3 dozen cuts of very generous 3 yard cuts of fabrics. And I think most of those are 60 inches. So in the giveaway, this is the first fabric that I'll be giving away. And isn't this spectacular? I almost kept it for myself, but I'm going to share it with somebody else. So this is Stuff Fabrics, and this particular one is called Avalana Jersey. So it is a knit fabric, and I'll just stretch it out for you a little bit. It's a knit fabric, and what needle are you going to use on it? I'd use a stretch size 7511. It's a little bit lighter weight, so I think the stretch 7511 needle would work just fine. Stretch needle is also available in size 9014, but I'd use the size 7511. So this is the first cut that I'm going to be giving away, and in today's giveaway. And as you can see from the picture in the newsletter, I folded up all the different cuts of fabrics, and there's quite a few there. He also had a couple wovens, and those were smaller cuts, so I'll be giving those away later in the year also. So thank you, Stuff Fabrics, and one lucky winner will get that beautiful cut of fabric. All right, so I mentioned that, and back to Stuff Fabrics. Yes, it's a company from Denmark, and the fabrics are made in Turkey. So I don't really see that many fabrics from Turkey, but oftentimes, from Asian countries or other countries, but not Turkey. So I think these are extra special. All right, so I was in Dallas, Texas last week for Original Sewing and Quilt Expo, and at the end of September 25 and 27, I'll be in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So sign up for my SCHMETZ needle class. What needle should I use? It's been 2 years since I've been to Fredericksburg, and I love that historical area. I had a choice of airports to fly into. Do I fly into Reagan, Dulles, or Richmond? So stay tuned. Travel is sometimes quite the adventure. But Fredericksburg, Virginia, September 25, 26, 27, and I'm giving 2 lectures there. So I hope to see you. The Blue Bag Special. Okay, so it'd been a few months since I'd offered a Blue Bag Special to our subscribers. Again, my subscribers to the newsletter, you're awesome. And I say thank you for reading the newsletter. And I get such nice comments that you actually read the newsletter and you learn, and sometimes you're even entertained by it. So thank you very much. So the Blue Bag Special, I wanted to feature needles that we work with knit fabrics. So we've got the beautiful Stuff Fabrics that are that's being given away. Plus, in my giveaway, I always include the Shannon kits. So what needle do you use with this? Stretch 9014. So I thought between the Stuff jersey knit and the Cuddle fabric, the Shannon fabric, let's do a Sewing with Knits expanded bundle. So these are the needles that were included in the bundle, and I know there are a few left. I think there are just 7 bundles left. So if you're interested, you need to go online and order the Blue Bag Special. All right, so what was in the bundle? Well, we have, let me start with the stretch needles. The stretch 7511 that you're going to that you're going to use most likely with the stuff fabric. If you find yourself sewing with a heavier fabric, oh, you're going to use the stretch 9014. And that's what you want to use with the Shannon Fabrics kit, Cuddle Kit, is stretch 9014. This needle really makes a huge difference in your sewing success because the cuddle fabric has a tendency to shift back and forth because it's so plush. It has a tendency to stretch and shift. So you need to be very aggressive in your pinning. And yes, the needle makes a huge difference. So stretch 9014. Also included in the stretch needle were the twin needles, two twin needles. So we have the 2.5 in a size 75 and also the 4.0 in size 75. So if you're not familiar with twin needles, also known as double needles, that first number on your little, at the bottom of your pack is the distance between the two needles. So this pack here is a 2.5. So that is narrower than this 4.0. And then there's a slash, and then the next number is the needle size. So these are stretch size 7511 needles. So I hope that's helpful for you. Certainly you can use these needles for hemming and certainly for embellishing in some of your decorative stitches. And if you're using a twin needle, you need to make sure that your throat plate is wide enough to not only accommodate the distance between the two needles, but if you're doing a decorative stitches and your needle's going to be swinging back and forth, you need to make sure that your throat plate is wide enough. Otherwise, what are you going to have? Oh, broken needles. All right. And in the sewing stash, in the stretch sewing with needle stash, also included are the jersey needles. So jersey, and these are assorted sizes. So jersey and stretch needles. How do you know when to use stretch or jersey? Well, if you've been with me before, you probably know the answer. If your knit fabric has lycra, spandex, or elastic, you're going to use the stretch needle. If it's just a regular knit fabric, use the jersey needle. Sometimes stretch and jersey are interchangeable, but not always. And most of our knit fabrics, most, but not all of our knit fabrics have that lycra, spandex, or elastic. So I always suggest that you have both stretch and jersey needles. And sometimes stretch and jersey are interchangeable, but not always. So have both on hand. So the little blue bag special comes with the popular ABC pocket guide and then the little luggage tag. So if you're interested in these, you need to go to the website or go to your newsletter and click BB825. That's blue bag August of the year 2025. Let's see, that was $31.75 and includes shipping in the United States also. So there you go. All right, well, let's just scoot along. Oh, right. And speaking of double, how many of you checked out Brianna's video on the double eye needle? So Brianna's in Germany. She's American, but she lives in Germany, and she frequently does little videos for us, and I always appreciate that. They're usually less than 3 minutes long, and she featured the double eye needle. So what is the double eye needle? It's a universal needle with two eyes, one right on top of each other. So a universal needle with two eyes. It has a slightly rounded point, just like a universal needle. So why have a double eye needle? why not have some fun with your needles? You know, sometimes when we top stitch, we might run 2 or 3 threads through a top stitch needle. So this is just a different way to embellish. You're going to use 2 spools of thread, and one thread will run through the top eye, and the other thread will run through the lower eye. And when you are threading your machine, you should thread it so the thread comes off the top of one spool of thread, and on the other spool of thread, the thread should wind off the bottom. That way, when the 2 spools of thread go through the tension of your machine, they're going to play well together and you'll get a better stitch. So keep that in mind when you're threading your machine with 2 spools of thread. Also, when you're doing the double eye needle, I suggest that you start with something really simple. Just elongate your straight stitch a little bit until you get comfortable working with this needle. You can use 2 colors of thread or 2 different types of thread, and you'll get kind of a shaded or maybe a textured stitch. So kind of play around with it. On the package of the needle, you can see there are decorative stitches. So again, you get a kind of textured or shaded effect. So have some fun with your needles. So this needle, the double eye needle, comes in size 80-12. So have some fun with that needle. All right. Well, let's talk about, let's go through the giveaway. Let's go through the giveaway. And again, if you haven't answered the question yet to be in the drawing for today's SCHMETZ giveaway, you need to answer the question, what's your favorite brand of thread? There's no right or wrong answer. And also, we're just curious, how big is your thread stash? So there's no guilt how little or big it is. We're just curious how big your thread stash is and what your favorite brand of thread is. Okay, so to our giveaway today, we've got the beautiful Stoff fabric. This is a jersey knit, and you're going to use that stretch size 90-14 needle. From our friends at Shannon Fabric, we have the beautiful Cuddle fabric. This is called Enchanted Dreams. So it includes the strips for a quilt top, backing and binding, and the pattern is included too. So you're going to use stretch 90-14 for this project here. From our friends at Scanfield Threads, we have these eco-friendly threads, so you can test these out. We have from our friends at ODIF, we have a non-slip coating called Grippy. So you can test this on wood, carpet, glass, paper, and plastic, and you can try it with your sewing projects too. From our friends at Taylor Seville, we have the magic pins. Oh, the magic pins with that little cushy top that makes it so much easier to grip the pin head. Mary Malari. Oh, she's talking about her 5-inch fabric scraps with all kinds of little projects that are fun that you can do on your own or maybe with a youngster. From by Annie, I've got the hot and heavy purse or iron carrier. And don't we love by Annie patterns? So I'm delighted to have this pattern to share with you today. And oftentimes when you're doing those by Annie patterns and you're working with a fusible or an adhesive, you'll want to use that super nonstick needle, the super nonstick needle, probably a size 80-12, or maybe if it's thicker, a 90-14. So you kind of have to test. Amy Berrickman, she's got her anytime topper. You know what? This is something really fast and simple, but you know what? It makes a fashion statement. So she has the pattern here. Oh, a Grab It My Pad needle organizer for those slightly used needles. You just slide your slightly used needle into the appropriate needle type and size. So now they're all organized into one little spot. I keep mine leaning against my light source right next to my sewing machine. So it makes keeping track of your slightly used needles, or I should say your needles that are still sewing worthy. You can keep them organized. The 2025 version of the needle travel guide. So if you are shop hopping or you still have some vacations this year, this was updated for 2025. It's not just quilt and fabric shops, but it also includes fiber and yarn shops too. So a nice way to learn where to go. Oh, side trips on your vacation. From our friends at Hobbs, oh my goodness, heirloom batting. This is cotton batting and it's the queen size. So whoever wins this prize today is going to get a fairly large box because it includes Hobbs heirloom batting. And then we have, of course, a variety of SCHMETZ needles. And I like to include the SCHMETZ needles in these little industrial boxes. We have thousands of these. So I think, rather than just toss them, I like to give them away. So today's winner does get a variety of SCHMETZ needles. And I see some of them are upside down. So, okay. Pretty good, pretty generous giveaway, don't you think? All right. So it is almost 12:30. Now, a few of you posted questions in advance. So let me go ahead and just, I printed them out. So let me go ahead and answer these questions because maybe it's a question that you've had yourself. So Barb Sebastian was asking, what needle do you use to sew ripstop? Ripstop. Generally, ripstop is a nylon type of fabric. So what needle are you going to use? Well, you have some choices depending on how thin or thick it is. If it's a lighter weight, I'd probably use a Microtex needle, probably a size 90-14. If it's a little bit heavier, I'd probably use a jean size 90-14, or even heavier, you might go up to a jean size 110 or 120. So again, it depends on the thickness or the heaviness of your ripstop. You might also try that super nonstick, super universal needle. Now, to tell you the truth, I have not sewn on ripstop. So I asked my friend Linda McGee, who oftentimes works with these types of fabrics, and she suggested Microtex or jeans. So give those a try. Teresa Kiefer was asking, what would you use a ballpoint needle for? Well, ballpoint, that is the stretch and jersey needles. They both have a medium ballpoint. Both stretch and jersey have a medium ballpoint. So you're going to use these needles specifically when you're working with knit fabrics. The difference between stretch and jersey is that the stretch needle has a smaller eye and a deeper scarf. So if you're sewing with a stretch fabric, a knit fabric with lycra, spandex, or elastic, use the stretch needle. If it's just a regular knit, use the jersey needle. The stretch needle has a smaller eye and a deeper scarf, and so your machine and your thread and your fabric are going to play just a little bit differently. Let's see, I don't have a name on this one. It seems like it was Evelyn. Okay, she asked, she has a Husqvarna machine, and she wanted to buy embroidery bulk needles, and she was asking for size 80-12. Well, SCHMETZ embroidery needles are available in two sizes 75-11 and 90-14. So SCHMETZ embroidery needles are not available in size 80-12. So if you want specifically size 80/12, then I would suggest that you use a top stitch needle, which has an elongated eye, or maybe even a super nonstick, super universal needle, because that needle has an enlarged eye. So top stitch, super nonstick, embroidery needles. In fact, all of our different needle types are available in bulk packaging. What is bulk packaging? Well, it's a little box of 100 needles, 100 loose needles in a little box that's about the size of a matchbox. If we remember those matchboxes, right? The little tiny ones. And there's no excess packaging to them. I find that people who buy bulk needles, SCHMETZ bulk needles, pretty much are power sewers. They know what their favorite needle type and size is. So, SCHMETZ bulk, you might be able to find them at your local sewing machine dealer. If they don't have them, you could ask them to bring it in as a special order, or certainly you can go to smetsneedles.com and you'll find bulk needles in bulk. Okay, Pam Close is asking about RFID fabrics. RFID fabrics, and she has some in her stash, and she wants to make a bag or a wallet by using a Sally Tomato pattern. So again, I conferred with my friend Linda McGehee of gees.com. That's GHEES.com. And microtext size 9014 would be a good needle choice. Or also if, what would be the other one? A top stitch needle would work too, a top stitch needle. Probably an 80/12, maybe a 90/14, depending on how many layers you're going through and how thick they are. Super nonstick, super universal would also be a possibility. So needle type for RFID fabrics. And that's that special fabric that you use in wallets that don't allow your credit card information to be stolen. So RFID fabric, use microtext, top stitch, or the super nonstick, super universal needle. Okay, let me see here. What other questions? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, Joyce also asked about RFID fabric. Yeah, she has some in her stash. And so microtext or top stitch or the super nonstick, super universal. Mary in Santa Fe Quilting was asking about the difference between ball tip needles and stretch needles. So I think I kind of answered that already, and that would be the jersey versus the stretch needle. Both of them have a medium ball point, but the stretch needle has a smaller eye and a deeper scarf. If you're not familiar with needle anatomy, the scarf is this area here of the needle. So the stretch needle has a deeper scarf than a regular needle. So sometimes you need that in order for the stitch to be created. So stretch and jersey, again, the recommendation is if you're working with knit fabrics that have lycra, spandex, or elastic, use the stretch. If it's just a regular knit, use the jersey needle. Okay. Natalie said, oh, just wanted to say thanks for the always informative SCHMETZ newsletter. I always learn so much. Well, I can never hear enough comments like that. So thank you very much, Natalie. All right. Let me see. Oh, gosh. Yeah, there were a lot of questions this month about the stretch needle. So Alda Stewart also asked about the best needle to use with stretch stretch material. And so again, that little blue bag special that we've got right now, where you've got both stretch and jersey needles, would be a great way to experiment with both needle types, and the twin needles are included there. So both stretch and jersey have the medium ballpoint. The stretch needle has a smaller eye and a deeper scarf. So give those a try. All right, and then one last question that came in advance. Let me see here. Oh, she was asking, this is Cindy Ponsky, Ponzek. All right, she was asking about, she was using a quilting needle size 9014, and her thread kept shredding. And sometimes she uses a top stitch 9014. So she's asking, well, why is her thread shredding? Well, the top stitch needle has an elongated eye on the top stitch needle. And what does that mean? There's less stress on your thread as it's passing through the eye of the needle. So if you're sewing and your thread is breaking and shredding, what are you going to do? Well, you need to change your needle. And if you just started your project, maybe you need to move up a needle size or change to a different needle type that has a larger eye. So if you have the little SCHMETZ ABC pocket guide, and if you don't have the physical one, next time you go to your local sewing machine dealer and you buy your SCHMETZ needles, ask if they have this, and most of the stores will give it to you for free. If you can't wait to get the print copy, you can go to schmetzneedles.com. Under resources, you can download this ABC Pocket Guide, either to print out, or there's a digital version too that you can just load right into your phone. Doesn't matter if you have Android or Apple, it just downloads. And we're not collecting your information, but you can have this easy reference. So the reason why I'm showing you the ABC Pocket Guide is because there is, it's always awkward. Let me see. There we go. There's a diagram about the eyes of the needle right here. So the universal needle eye is about 40% the width of the blade. But when you look at the eye of the top stitch in the metallic, you can see that the eye is elongated. So what does a elongated eye mean? Less stress on your thread as it's passing through the eye of the needle. The other needle that I'll point out is the embroidery needle, and it has a wider eye. Again, less stress on your thread as it's passing through the eye of the needle. So if you don't have the little ABC Pocket Guide, I encourage you to download it into your phone, or at least go to schmetzneedles.com and print out a copy. It's not going to be as cute as this one or in the app, but the information is there. The other thing I'll just mention in the ABC Pocket Guide is in the print version, there's 70 some fabrics that are alphabetically listed by needle, by fabric type, and with recommendations for needle type and size. So if you've been curious about cork or bamboo, both are listed, and now you know what needle type and size to use. But in the free app, there's even more. There's over 100 fabrics listed, so you can check that out and always have it in your phone. All right, so let me just go in and just see if there are any other. Anita says she likes the digital version of the guide. Yay, Anita, thank you so much for your comment. Jennifer loves the ABC Pocket Guide. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, hi, Paul. Paul said he was given some very old SCHMETZ needles from the 50s or the 60s. Can I or should I still use them? Well, thanks for asking, Paul. Paul's my friend from Canada. So thanks for being here today, Paul. And I just saw him in Oh, I saw him in July at Bernina University, and I also saw him in June at Quilt Canada. So, okay, so Paul, you know what? You're not alone if you have some older SCHMETZ needles. I mean, even I have some. I inherited SCHMETZ needles from both mom and grandma. They use SCHMETZ needles, and they don't have the color bands. So, how do you know that those needles are still sewing worthy? Well, first of all, if the needles are still in the package and they were not exposed to moisture or to dust, I'm pretty sure that they're still sewing worthy. So don't throw out those needles, even if they're from the 50s or 60s or even older. If you kept if you protected them from moisture and also from dust, go ahead and use those needles. Now they're not going to have the color bands. So once you take that needle out of the package and you put it in your machine, how are you going to keep track of it? You can use the Grab It My Pad needle organizer. You can use this little flower head pin that comes with the My Pad, and just slide it into the appropriate needle type and size that's currently in your machine. So now you don't have to rely on your memory. So you can keep that in mind. So thanks, Paul. um, Let's see. Oh, okay. So Darlene and Anita are asking about needle to use on vinyl. I always suggest for vinyl that you use the super nonstick, super universal needle, which is available in 4 sizes. Because what happens when you're sewing on vinyl, the vinyl gets warm and has a tendency to hug your needle. So the super nonstick, super universal will resist the vinyl from hugging your needle. So that needle comes in 4 sizes, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So use the best needle size for your project. Okay. Carol said that she's been using RFID fabrics and she got along just fine. Diane is asking about serger needles. They're new to her. So Diane, I'm sure you're not alone in asking about serger needles. The first thing you want to do is with your serger, you want to open that front cover of your serger machine. And oftentimes there'll be a little sticky label or an imprint that will tell you what needle system to use. On some of the newer serger machines, you can use a regular home sewing machine needle. So it will say use 130-705H. That is the needle system. 130/705 means that the needle has a flat shank, and the H translates from a German word that means scarf, that little indentation above the eye on the back side of the needle. So some of your sergers can use a flat shank needle with a scarf, a regular home sewing machine needle. For some of the older sergers, you need to use a different needle system. So when you open up that front cover, it might say use ELX 705. Well, ELX 705, guess what? That's a different needle system. It too has a flat shank. But unlike our regular home sewing machine needles, the ELX 705 has a groove on the front of the needle, but it has a second groove on the back side of the needle. And some of your serger stitches need that second groove to create the stitch successfully. So I have a baby lock serger. It's not a new model, but I have a baby lock that I love to use. I've had a Bernina too. I've had several different brands. And when I open up the front cover of my baby lock, it says use ELX 705. Oh, okay. Well, but I know from my serger expert friends, I can sometimes use a regular home sewing machine needle. So if I'm sewing with knits, I might use a stretch or a jersey needle. Or on another project, I might use a universal needle, just a regular home sewing machine needle. But if my stitches become wonky, Well, guess what? I'm going to do what the manufacturers suggest, and I'm going to use that ELX 705. So, and that generally takes care of any issues I might have with wonky stitches. So again, don't be afraid of ELX 705. Some of your stitches are going to require that. And sometimes you can use a regular home sewing machine needle. So you need to test it. I'll also just say ELX 705, do not use it on your sewing machine. It is specifically made for your serger. ELX 705 comes in two sizes 8012 and 9014. So great question on that. All right, let me see if there are a few more questions before Paul has just handed me the winner for today's giveaway. But let me just see if there are a few other questions that I can answer. Um, David is asking, what is the SCHMETZ embroidery needle that I should buy for performance polos? These polos are super light and stretchy. Okay, I am not familiar with performance polos, but I'm going to guess that that performance fabric would have spandex or lycra. And you're doing embroidery. So my first choice would be a super nonstick, super universal needle. Probably I would first test size 70-10. Why? Because you say that the fabric is super light. So I would try the smallest super nonstick, super universal needle. Now I'm guessing that you're also using a stabilizer so that you get better stitches. And again, that super nonstick, super universal will resist any of the adhesives that you might be using with that super light fabric. You could try the size 7511 embroidery needle. That comes in two sizes, so 7511 would be the smallest. So those would be my two recommendations, super nonstick, super universal, and the embroidery needle. The embroidery needle is available in two fabrications. One would be the chrome, which all of those needles are available in chrome, which helps to keep the needle cool. But you also might try the gold embroidery needle, which also is available in size 7511 and 9014. For your project, again, the 7511 would be my first choice. Titanium helps to keep the needle a little cooler and also gives extra strength to the needle. So you've got a couple choices. And I'll also just say, David, that what works for you may not work for someone else. So it's good to have a little stash of needles handy so you can test. Okay, let's see what other Oh, okay. Lolly says that she ordered quilting size 7511 and universal 8012 needles from SCHMETZ when Joanne closed. And oh, SCHMETZ had the best price. So yes, we do have SCHMETZ needles on our website. We prefer that you go to your local dealer or your fabric or quilt shop. To buy your needles, but sometimes that's not possible. I'm kind of surprised. We always sell our needles at the suggested manufacturing prices, so we don't discount. So I'm delighted that you found them at a good price. If you're buying your SCHMETZ needles on Amazon, I encourage you to be wary of who you are buying them from because sometimes there's unscrupulous vendors out there. So be aware, have confidence in who you are buying from. If it's your favorite dealer that has an online store, fantastic. When you're buying on Amazon, we do sell them as SCHMETZ needles, all one word, and also Euro notions. So keep that in mind so you get the real deal. Stephanie says she thinks her needle stash might be bigger than her thread stash. Okay, that's funny. Jenny says that she buys her needles in bulk, so she likes to buy Microtex needles in bulk. Darlene says that she likes to buy her top stitch needles in bulk for most of her embroidery. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. Okay. Oh, Janice says that she's been watching Rhonda's show for over a year now. I think some of the information is finally sticking with me. Repetition, repetition. So I know that's the way it is. Repetition. I know. So, Jenna, thank you for being here each month and for asking really terrific questions. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I know it does seem like I'm redundant, but sometimes I just have to get to the point. Okay, so let me see. Let me go back down to the chat and let's just see. Anita says, following that Amazon advice, for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She also says she's seen products that come from Amazon, and then when they get the item, it's not the brand that she ordered. So you need to be careful. Shelley says that she finds some shops sell at more than the manufacturer's suggested retail price. So, yeah, do some competitive shopping. All right. Well, we've been live for 50 minutes now, and I'm delighted that each of you are here today. The question for today was, what is your favorite brand of thread? And also, what is your, how big is your thread stash? So Charlene Scott, you're our winner today of today's giveaway. So how do you claim your prize, Charlene? You need to send us an email at info@smetsneedles.com. Tell us on the subject line that you're the SCHMETZ Snippet August winner, and provide your shipping address. Again, send us an email at info@smetsneedles.com. She says she has a large thread stash. She inherited thread from her sisters when they passed away. She lives in a small town, so sewing supplies are limited, and she loves Floriani threads. Floriani thread is her favorite, and she has a whole bunch of colors. So, Charlene, congratulations for winning today's giveaway. Send me an email at info@smetsneedles.com with your address, and we'll get them, because I'm pretty sure the mail or FedEx or UPS delivered to your small town. Okay, everyone. Well, when I go live next month, which is what, September 4th. September 4th, I'll be at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show in Madison, Wisconsin. So I probably won't be doing Q&A, but I'll have special guests that will be teaching and vending at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. I'll be giving 3 lectures at 8:30 every morning. So you can start your day at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show each day with my lecture. You do need to sign up for it in advance, and I always love this show. So I will be also in the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio booth. I'll be there at the large SCHMETZ needle display, and I can answer any questions that you might have. And oh yes, I'll be selling you SCHMETZ needles too. So thank you everyone for being here today. Congratulations to Charlene Scott. We'll be looking for your email. It's super hot and super humid here in the Chicago area. And what do I say? It's a great day to sew. So sew SCHMETZ, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.